Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, one of the things that every area, especially with tourism becoming more of a hot point throughout not just New York, but all over the country right now because of what COVID has done to us, made us yearn to be outside. One of the things that's come from that is the emphasis on building more trails. And I really believe that trails are so critical. We want to bring people up here. We want to have them come up here and fish and stay and vacation. Well, they need things to do while they're here. And what better thing to do than enjoy this incredible area that's up here? All this sort of empty area in a sense that there isn't a lot of construction, there's not a lot of homes, there's really pretty surrounding areas to explore. But there's something special that comes when you're on a trail exploring. It's a different sense of mind. And it's kind of the same as being fishing and exploring the different things that you see and hear and smell while you're fishing. But on a trail, your whole emphasis becomes in discovering the area, in discovering all the things that are around that trail. And the trail takes us through the woods, takes us through areas. And people wouldn't just go in the woods if there wasn't a trail. A kid might. When I was a kid, I didn't worry about poison ivy or didn't worry about anything. The woods were my world, and I went there. But most adults don't do that as much. They know there's lots of things to avoid and be careful of, and especially if they're in a new area. But if there's a trail there, it gives them confidence, and it gives them the ability to explore an area. And I think back to my life, and I think back to all the time I've spent on trails. And when I've been on trails, I've seen things that I've never seen before. I've come upon bobcats that were just ahead of me that didn't know I was coming over this ridge. I remember this day I heard something coming through the woods, and I stood there on the trail and I waited. I could hear it. I could hear the leaves moving and everything. And what I witnessed was something that blew my mind, and I even wrote a story about it. It was this giant ball of snakes rolling and rolling themselves forward. And then once I located the sound and saw them coming, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have never seen this. I would have never known about this if I hadn't been on the trail. I've come upon so many incredible things. Because I told you the story one time about how I was down, I call it Butler's Cove, but it's a stretch of water that comes in from the St. Lawrence. But on this day, I was walking the trail. It was the beginning of COVID time, and it gave me a place where I could go where I wouldn't be around other people. I didn't have to worry about having a mask or anything. It was my own little trail. Well, what happened on this trail is, again, it was a windy day. And apparently this animal didn't know I was on the trail. And it was the day that a fisher is the really large, vicious weasel that a lot of people mistake for mountain lions because of their long tail. And this fisher was coming along, and it crossed the trail. But when it got to the trail, it sensed I was back of it about 20 yards. And it stopped, and it started growling, and it looked, and it hissed. And then it decided what it was going to do. And then it went on its way. But not many of us ever see a fisher. That's something I would have never experienced. And here it is, a couple years later, and it's so sharp in my mind. Other things I forget. They sort of fade into a fog, unfortunately. But these kind of experiences that you can have on a trail are so, so profound. And I got to tell you also, some of my really good friends that have become my friends through fishing now are exploring hiking. And something gets in their blood with this hiking the trails. Not only the trails here, but the more sort of challenging trails of the Adirondacks and going up mountains. And this beckons them, it calls them, it gets in their blood. And in some cases, it's even a stronger draw than fishing. So there's something special about trails. And it's a reason when you hear us talking about developing trails here in the North Country, I think they're a huge and vital part of the whole concept and the movement forward of sharing our marvelous North Country with the public. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.